Today's episode is brought to you by Logos Bible Software. Logos not only powers our Bible studies and our sermon prep, but it also powers the podcast. Welcome to Doctrine and Devotion, a podcast exploring Christian faith and practice from a Reformed Baptist perspective. My name is Joe Thorne. I'm the lead pastor of Redeemer Fellowship in St. Charles, Illinois.
And I'm Jimmy Fowler, elder candidate at Redeemer Fellowship.
It's been a while.
It has been, yeah. I think we've said it before. We record these, a few weeks in advance.
Yeah.
So part of that's to one, so that we're always ahead, and we've always got in case things happen, because I've been away and you're about to go away, and so we're trying.
I was away,
and you were away too.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah,
I was away.
Yeah, Joe
and you were
Thorne.
away.
Yeah, and then Joe freaking Thorne's going to be away twice in a row for conferences.
3 times.
3 times? No, you're not. What's the third one?
New Zealand.
I already counted that. Well, so you were away, I was away, and then you're gone 2 more times. Texas and New Zealand. Is there another one I'm missing?
California.
You already did California.
I know. I'm saying the total of 3 times in a row.
Okay,
California,
but
Texas,
hear
New
what
Zealand.
I just said. I just said you went away.
Right.
Then I went away,
Yeah.
and you will be gone for 2 more times.
Yeah, but that's a total of 3.
You you got lost in the conversation.
I might have got a little lost.
And so it feels like it has been a while since we've recorded. We even sat down. We're like, how are you supposed to work these mics? Are you okay?
My
What happened?
There's like a tendon in my jaw that locked up. I can't even.
Joe.
What?
Joe just tried chugging his Diet Coke, and first of all, he spilled it over his beard.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did. It's all up on.
I was trying to make a funny thing, a funny face at Jimmy, and I pulled some kind of muscle in my chin.
Are you
My
serious?
double, I think it
Are
was
you really getting that old that you pulled a muscle?
This has happened all my life.
All your life, you have pulled muscles in your chin.
Yeah, where like.
What kind of monstrosity of a chin do you have that it pulls its own muscles?
Why do you think I have a beard covering it?
I have seen old pictures of you and Steve McCoy. Never mind.
There you go. What were we talking about? Oh, so we've been busy. We're traveling a lot.
Huge jaws and muscles in your chins.
So yeah, we haven't sat down in feels like a long time. I mean, we see each other, but we haven't been able to find time to sit down and say, oh, we're going to record for an hour.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's been a good 2 to 3 weeks since we've recorded.
In the meantime,
we've
released a T-shirt.
Bam!
Oh, that T-shirt is so much better than every other podcast T-shirt ever.
and Joe's the most humble podcast.
I don't have when
host.
your T-shirt is that good. You don't have to be humble anymore. You can just be like, "What's up, everybody?"
Which is even ironic because we had it designed by the Anthony Benedetto of Humble Beast, one of the most humble men.
Oh yeah,
I think we've met.
Oh yeah, those guys are humble, super talented. In fact, they are so humble. We try to balance the scales by being more proud,
being prideful.
Yeah, you don't want
that way. When we're together, it makes sense.
Listen, by the time this airs, I don't know if we'll be sold out or not because we sold about 50% already.
Well, 48%.
Okay,
well, slow your roll. 48.7.
But you haven't checked in the last
No, I did just before we started. Okay. I wanted to know. 48.7%.
Check out our store. We've got an amazing T-shirt. It's a great design. Anthony Benedetto.
And we still got them. We still have available the digital downloads of our conversation with Ed Stetzer.
Right.
And so, again, these are just they're here to encourage and to edify.
And just to make you look cool.
But and it also helps support us. It helps support the podcast and what we're trying to do, and it helps us to be able to, in a way, fundraise to put out more content.
Yeah,
more special video content.
We want to bring in some great pastors and theologians to lecture, and that to do that costs money. But we want to bring in these guys to do that so that they can address the issues that are important to us. Because our audience, you guys, and it's not just an audience, because we all talk together so much. Like the D&D community.
Yeah, I love it.
Is we're all kind of on the same page about the things that are important, the things that we want to talk about. So,
it's a lot better than maybe other, communities that gather around on Facebook's,
well, yeah, we don't even need one of those.
Like when you have kind of these bars, whatever you want to call a bar.
It's like a pub or whatever.
I don't know whatever you call it. There's just this animosity and hostility and aggressiveness.
we don't
We're
need
terrible.
a Facebook page with like all kinds of like forums and community because we have it for real. We don't need the virtual one. Yeah.
I like how you Jesus juked it.
I did it. And don't make that hashtag.
I did it.
Hand gesture.
Jesus juke.
So look, man, I want to get this done because I want to go watch the debate.
The debate.
Yeah, man. It's tonight.
Why?
Oh, it's
But why?
Because it's like same reason I watch horror movies.
Because you're dumb? I don't
What are you talking about?
I
Horror
hate
movies
horror
are great.
movies.
Yeah,
No,
because
they're
you're a
not.
baby.
It's not that I'm a baby.
You are, but
maybe.
you're afraid.
Okay, I'm a little bit afraid. I am a little bit. That's true. Joe likes to hide around the corner, around like in the church. He just likes to find little spots that are nice and dark. And as soon as I pop around the corner, he just jumps out.
You're sauntering, really. When you saunter around the corner.
It's actually come to the point where I will try to go around different directions, or I'll call Joe on my phone.
Yeah.
Just so I can hear if he's like right.
Yeah,
in
you're
the hallway
standing
next to me.
outside. I know you're in there. It's awesome. I'm going to get you on video. It's
I
gonna be
also
great.
send the church secretary out there first.
Poor Deb.
I go, hey, Deb, could you go check and see how Joe's doing? I got to check out this paperwork right here.
So, yeah, I want to watch the debates because, like a horror movie, it's scary and funny and sort of disturbing all at the same time. Yeah, Trump and Hillary are going to be back at it tonight. And we thought, you know what? People are getting ready to vote. Or
Actually,
not.
when this airs, I think we're
gonna be pretty
planning on this
close.
one on November 7th. It's going to be on the Monday just before.
Unless we bump it up. But now we're locked in.
Well,
You just locked it in.
I'm going to lock it in. Well, people, you only need 24 hours to decide what you're going to do. If you haven't decided by now, then us
why
releasing it a week early is not going to make a
That's why
difference.
they're called the undecided. Yeah.
You got me there. I have
that's
no
right.
comment. I couldn't think of anything.
We
that
thought,
goes
like,
along
well,
with it.
let's talk about, because everybody's freaking out.
As they should be.
I don't know.
Are you kidding me? It's like it's the apocalypse.
I'm not worried about it.
You're not worried about it?
No. I'm not worried about it. I mean, listen, I think it's going to be a disaster
Either way.
if Clinton becomes president because, and we're not going to get into all of our political views here. We're not afraid to do that, but that's not what the subject is here.
Yeah, fair enough.
The subject is how are we handling this election? We're actually getting people writing us in. Are you guys going to talk about it? I know it's not really what you do because maybe it's not that biblical, but it actually is. It's a very biblical issue, and I'm terrified. Not terrified. I think if Clinton is president, it's going to be bad for us. And on the other hand, if Trump becomes president, I think it's going to be really bad for us. So,
well, I would say it's bad for the world.
yeah, it's both. Either way, I can't vote for either person, and I won't vote for either person. But that's not any stretch for me because long before Christians finally woke up and realized, like, oh, it's okay to vote for a third party. Finally, this year, some of us have been doing that for quite a while. So I think we thought, let's talk about the politics in general. Let's talk about the government and what a Christian, maybe how we should be thinking through some of these things. And we're just going to talk. We don't have an outline or anything. We just want to chat about what's going on. And we talk about this stuff quite a bit. So we thought this will be something. And let me just say that the next few episodes might be a little shorter. They're not going to be 50 minutes to an hour. They might be more like 30 minutes. What are you laughing at?
Because I think it's funny that you feel the need to say that.
Well, yeah, because people are used to them being like 50 minutes.
They're on average, they're around 35.
No,
40.
they aren't.
Yes, they
No,
are.
they aren't.
There's no way we are that long-winded.
I'm the one that uploads them every week.
All right, fair enough.
So
I don't even look.
they are almost always, you guys tell us, but they're almost always 50 minutes or more.
Wow.
Most of them are.
We need to tighten things up.
No, it's good. People like that. Besides, they just fast forward for the parts when you're talking.
But, hey,
What?
fast forward that.
All right. So, in what way is this a biblical issue, Jimmy? I mean, some people pretend like politics is the mission of the church, and obviously we're not there. That's bananas. But how is this election and all of this controversy come down to a biblical issue for us as Christians?
Well, I think ultimately it comes down to what we see in the Old Testament when the people wanted a king, right? Like when the people, the Israelites wanted a king, and they wanted a king, and God was saying, well, hold on, you've got me as your king. They said, well, no, we want it to be like everybody else. And so I think at the heart of this is this underlying need to be looking towards somebody else for one's security and sense of protection.
So is it wrong for us or is it right for us to?
No, I guess I'm just starting at the first. I don't think it's wrong for it. I mean, you even look at Paul in Romans 13, 1-7, right? Let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there's no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God.
Right.
And so what we have here then is the sovereignty of God over the nations, over the U.S., and has instituted what we have.
So we need these leaders, and their fundamental role ought to be for the establishment of justice, to ensure that the governing authorities are caring for the people in such a way that, in our context in America, that freedoms and rights are protected, that all people who are created equal are treated as equals, and that we are defended from dangers, armies, and the like, right? And then just how much government you want and all of that, whether you're a Democrat or Republican or an anarcho-capitalist.
I even know what that is.
It's a good one. Depends on really where you're at, but the point is, like you were saying, Jimmy, that this matters because we need rulers, and the rulers that are in place are supposed to serve the purposes of God for justice and for righteousness. So when we're looking at the elections, when we're looking at who our options are for president or vice president or governor or mayor or whatever, it should matter to us as Christians. And I think that one of the fundamental reasons why politics should matter, the managing of power in the state, is because not only do we love righteousness, but we love our neighbor. And if we love our neighbor, then we're going to care about the policies that are being introduced, the laws that are being enforced, or
so it's not just about what laws or benefit us, but how the laws are protecting others. Yeah,
protecting, serving, helping, or hindering, right? Yeah. So because the laws that we pass have an impact, the policies that we introduce have an impact, and so if you're in favor of universal health care, hopefully your perspective of that, or if you're against it, either way, my point is that as a Christian, your understanding and your appreciation of those things ought to be greatly informed by your concern for your neighbor, not just yourself.
Exactly, yep. And I think a lot of times when we look at it, especially for that one issue, right, and I think that's a good issue to look at for a general sense, it's usually this sense of I don't have, so I want from somebody else, or I have it and I don't want to give. So that sense of like, well, why can't everyone else afford it when I can afford it? But not really looking and saying, well, hold on, you're in a better position because of whatever you want to call it, your stage of life, the privilege you've been given, I don't know how else you want to put it, your lot in life. But your neighbor, though, is struggling. So how do we as a Christian then, manage those things?
Yeah, and whose responsibility is it? I mean, that's where a lot of the debate is. Some people would say it's not the responsibility of the state, but for social programs, but it is the responsibility of citizens and organizations. Yeah. And like I said, we're not going to get into all of that, but because listen, at Redeemer, we work hard at being a theologically robust, gospel-centered kind of church. That's what we want to be.
Yeah.
And we have both Democrats and Republicans and independents.
Yeah.
We have
libertarians.
We have libertarians. We have people that won't vote and haven't voted for a few years based on conscience, based on their desire to be faithful to the Lord. So, and there's no drama here. Like we can be like I would say, I'm going to guess here, but maybe it's probably about split. Among those who voted in the last election, we're probably split between blue and red in our
church.
So? Yeah. I know the city is, St. Charles is. And what I really believe is that these people who are making those choices are doing so, the most of them, are making their choice when they vote based on an informed biblical worldview. Now, it's working itself out differently, obviously, in our people, because one would say, like, well, I'm going to vote for the Democratic policies and not the Republican policies because I think in the end it's going to achieve more righteousness. And then others are just, I think both are complete waste of time, and I don't trust either of them. So, is that your phone ringing?
No, that's you.
No, I don't have vibrate.
No.
Yeah.
Not me?
Uh-huh. Somebody's phone is vibrating.
Not mine.
Well, I don't have mine doesn't do that.
It was yours.
No,
You're
it
just
wasn't.
trying to
I don't
hide
have
it.
it.
You're hiding it.
Off,
Stop it.
No. So, what's freaking you out about this? I mean, like, as I know, you are very uncomfortable with this selection.
Well, call me out like that.
You are.
I wasn't expecting that.
I
know, but I wasn't expecting you to say it like that. Yeah, I'm uncomfortable. I feel like I'm, what do you want? What do you want me to choose between? That's kind of what I feel like, right? Like, this is the best America. This is the best we have to offer. How many millions of people are eligible to be president right now? Like, actually eligible.
I think technically there's only like 10 people, though, right?
No, come on now.
Isn't that right?
How is that only 10 people? What, the 10 richest people? Is that what you're talking about?
Just Google it after
I'm not
this
going
show.
to Google it
I
after
think it's like
this.
10 people.
There's not only 10 people.
Can be the president, and Trump is one of them.
Gosh. I just look at it and say, out of the how many millions of eligible Americans, this is the best that we can come up with. I think so I guess my concern is, one, I think it's really telling of our society, right? I think it's really telling of kind of the direction that we're going as a people and as a country. And now, listen, if you like Trump, God bless you. If you like Hillary, God bless you.
Yeah.
There's some things that I do.
Anyway, actually, if you like them, there's something wrong with you. If you're going to vote for them, then okay. I think that there's a difference.
Well, no,
okay?
there's some things
if you actually
here's
like
the thing,
them.
There's some things you can agree with. Maybe Hillary on.
She's a woman. I can agree that she's a woman.
I'm just saying some of her policies are okay. I agree.
Like what?
No, you know what?
Come on.
We're not going to play this.
We're
not going to play this.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
not going to go
I know
down
you're
this
voting for
road.
Hillary. You're going to vote for Hillary. You're going to bring down America.
I am not. Okay, you want me to vote for Trump and bring down the world?
No, man. No,
the nuclear.
No. We both vote for somebody else. I got a guy.
You got a guy?
I know a guy.
Yeah, Pastor Pat.
No, we can't.
We're going to write Pat in.
He would hit the nuke button.
You know what? You know what? You're right. I've seen it. We've seen him overreact by like throwing cards at our face. He'll just throw the nuke at us.
Yeah, man. Putin would put the hurt on him on a card game, and then Pat would go like, "Give me the codes.
Give me the codes right now." All right, no, but I think it does say something about us. But I think though, it's really been troubling for me to see the Christian response.
Yeah.
Right. And I think where whether they're conservative or liberal, maybe hatred's the right word. Like,
I see it.
The hatred that they have for the other, and the lack of charity that they have towards each other, is revealing of a heart that does not see Jesus as Lord, but seeks man or woman as Lord. Right, like either like Trump that, or Hillary.
Yeah, I'm definitely concerned with. I mean, on the one hand, I feel like these are the candidates we deserve as Americans because
we suck.
We do. We're a mess.
Game over, America.
We're a mess. So thanks, America.
Way to go.
And we've brought this upon ourselves.
Yeah.
And there's so much hypocrisy. There's so much lying. Now here we are with two candidates, neither of which I think are very good options. Now, but I am even more troubled with some of the responses that I've seen from professing Christians.
Oh yeah.
So let me give you this is going to solve if everybody will do what I say right now. If everyone, not just people listening, but if everyone would do what I say right now, it would make a big difference.
Oh really? What's that?
Stop posting your political ideas on Facebook.
What?
Because you're dumb and nobody's going to be persuaded, and you're usually posting links to stuff that isn't even true. So how about you just take a little sabbatical from Facebook? And
but doesn't that also tell us though how dumb people are? Like to sit there and reshare even just false information, to not even take the time to investigate it yourself. And I'm guilty of this myself.
Oh yeah, you are.
Yeah, you are.
Big time. Not me.
What are you talking about?
I don't share.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't. Man. I
okay,
share
you
like I share like animated
share, but you
GIFs.
do a lot of.
I share GIFs.
Yeah, but you say a lot of dumb things without researching.
Oh, I say a lot of dumb things, but
yeah, but you claim a lot of dumb things. Like, hey, man, I heard this.
I wouldn't do that. That'd be
not
crazy.
on Facebook.
No.
You do it in person
I do it
all the time.
I do it in person on a podcast. I do it.
All right. So, but do some research.
Yeah, absolutely. We just need to be smarter and charitable, like you were saying, Jimmy. That makes me uncomfortable. I think that the posture of the Christian in the state takes different forms.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that we have had the luxury in this country of having a very prominent voice.
Yeah.
That carried some weight. But these days and in the future, it's going to increasingly become more like the first century.
That's right.
When Christians were a persecuted minority.
So isn't that ironic, though, that there's been this I'm thinking in the last 20 years, there's been this trend in Christianity of like, we need to recapture the first century church. Mm-hmm. We need to recapture it. We have to model what we do after them, do these house groups and these missional communities and fellowship with one another.
Why do you sound like Rush Limbaugh?
Because I feel like he would say that.
Yeah.
Because Rush is all about the first century church.
But I get you. And
but then when it comes to, but we want that same power and we want that same authority that we never had back then, right? Like we want this power and authority, and we want this place of prominence in our culture when the first century church didn't have that themselves. When they faced their persecution and they had to live, I guess, underground, and they had to live day by day, trusting and believing that that God would sustain them. At the same time, to stand up for their faith would mean certain death.
Yeah, and when you read Paul, when you read the New Testament, when you read the Old Testament on their interactions with political leaders, kings and governors, now you see them taking different postures.
Yeah.
Sometimes they would be defiant and they would stand up and they would say, "This is wrong. What you are doing is wickedness." Sometimes they would tell the truth in such a way that they could be killed for it.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes they were. Other times they're submissive. They take their beatings. They don't resist. Other times they run. So I think even though we see these different postures, the one thing that's clear in Scripture is that we ought to be a people who respect authority and who pray for those who are in authority. I mean, this is really basic stuff for us. Like we know this, right? Paul said in 1 Timothy, I urge that supplications, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgivings be made for all people, for kings and all who are in high positions, that we may lead a peaceful and quiet life, godly and dignified in every way. That's what we should be hungry for. And so political opposition, the prophetic voice, those are important. Yeah. But prayer really seems to me to be one of the primary things that should be driving all of those other works.
And that's it. I think that passage itself is an indictment against us as believers, in that, with all this animosity and hatred and everything that's been going on, just like you said at the beginning, we are getting the leader that we deserve. And I think it's a reflection on, and I'm talking about myself right now. I'm being convicted myself in my lack of prayer for our leaders. Yeah. My lack of prayer for the U.S., and for the election and for our president. Even with Obama. Thanks, Obama. But I mean, I don't pray.
Yeah.
And so this is just a reflection of that.
What do? We don't pray.
We blame, and we demand,
and we mock.
Oh, I mock all the time.
So if I'm not freaked out about it, I'm treating it like it's a joke half the time. And that's not good either. No. I need to be. Obviously, we can laugh, we can make fun of things that are worth making fun of.
Come on, it's hard not to. Trump. We've been given Trump. How is it hard? It's hard not to laugh. The guy says so many dumb things.
That's why I tune in to everything. When Trump is on, everybody gets quiet because we want to see what he's going to say.
It's a gong show.
Yeah, totally.
It is ridiculous.
So, but we have to get beyond these things. I know I've got to get beyond just the making fun of and watching the train wreck, and get to the real work of having that prophetic voice. Yeah. Encouraging people to love their neighbor in such a way that makes a difference, even when it comes to politics. Mm-hmm. But that ought to be driven by prayer. I want to be the guy who is, and I try to be the guy that's submissive to rulers and authorities. You know, that I don't want to be known as, oh, he's the guy that breaks the law all the time. And like, I want to be known as the guy who submits to the governing authorities. But there comes a point when we don't. There comes a point when we reject, when we say like, I'm not going to go with this, right? And so when we saw this happening in like in the civil rights era. We see it happening at different points in church history where people are told they can't preach the gospel or they can't gather for worship, and they're going to do it anyways. So we have to decide whether we're going to obey God or man, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we have to be like foaming at the mouths, angry weirdos.
Exactly.
Who are demanding that the culture acquiesce to our particular theological and moral inclinations or convictions.
So you're telling me I should throw away David Barton's book?
David who?
David Barton.
Who is David Barton?
Dave Barton?
Yeah, Barton.
You know Barton? Barton. Fine, Barton.
Who's Barton?
Why are you making fun of me?
No, what is he?
David Barton.
What is he?
He's the quote-unquote history professor that...
Here's the thing. I know every single historian in the U.S., and he is not on that list.
Oh, that's why you're doing this to me. I get it.
That's not a historian.
He calls himself one.
Well, sure.
Calls himself,
I call myself good looking, but that ain't true either. All right, so yeah, no, I'm not.
All right, so you know who I'm talking about, right?
I know who you're talking about.
Okay, thank you. Throw away his book. If you got his book, throw it away, book.
Yeah. I'm not going to get into this.
Huh? You don't want to get into that
one? I'm
one?
not going into that stuff.
All right, well, I'm just saying, you know, people like that talk about that, right? Like, that we have to come back to being a Christian nation.
Yeah.
Founded upon the, you know.
Oh, man. Don't you wish we could go back to when we were a Christian nation, when we just owned black people?
Oh, my, Joe. No, Joe. Joe.
What? That's
no, Joe.
How is that not what that means?
Okay, here, technically,
the good old days when the black people couldn't drink from our water fountains.
Oh
man, that was.
Or that women couldn't vote.
Oh man.
Or that. Oh, okay. I know why you said that. I get it. Point made. It irritated me. You know it irritated me.
It's supposed to.
Yeah, you win.
The good old days.
but that's just it, right? Like, just people are ignorant, and I'm not saying. That's not it's criticism, but it's also a condemnation on me because I've been that ignorant individual. You know what I mean?
We all are. Listen to it.
Oh, that's just so dumb. David Barton, throw away his book.
Okay, so listen. This is actually
we really ranted.
We're not. Well, listen. It's late. We're tired. We've got a. We're not going deep. We're not digging into political ideology and all of that. But if you're going to develop a biblical perspective on the Christian's place, like what the Bible has to say about the Christian's place in the world, that takes a lot of work.
It does take a lot of work.
I mean, you need commentaries.
Yep.
You need books.
Yep.
Like other books. Commentaries are books, but you need other books. Right?
That's right.
You need theological books,
That's
practical
right.
books.
Yeah.
And like if I wanted to, you're talking like a seminary courses. You
need a powerful like search engine.
But you would have to have a search engine that could like scour all of those books and then bring it all together for you.
Is there such a thing?
I don't. Maybe in heaven there'll be.
Maybe in heaven there'll be.
Maybe.
You know what?
What?
Heaven came early.
Really?
Yeah. Logos 7, baby.
Oh, that's right.
Logos 7.
So cheesy. Sorry, Logos.
I'm so sorry.
We just embarrassed ourselves and you.
But here's the thing. Logos 7 is really powerful. It's really useful, and something that I know you and I use for not just sermon prep, but for our personal devotions. And Logos 7, if you guys head on over to our show notes, we'll link it there. It is their newest update that Logos has brought out, and they've got the sermon starter. They've got, you can search by topic. You can search by themes.
Exegetical guide,
passage guide. It has a lot of great features. And even the basic set that you get is something that's going to be a great start for you. And from there, you could build your library by adding on with the books that you want and the dictionaries that you want. And I feel like it is something that's going to be useful for you. If you're an elder at a church, it is something you're going to want to purchase, for your staff. It's something that I've benefited from as churches have. My last church had actually given to me.
Yeah.
And it's something that is useful for me today, not just personally, but in the ministry.
I've used other Bible software programs, but I switched to Logos years ago. And I still play with the others, and they're good. They're good, but I prefer Logos.
Yeah.
I think it's just, I love the way it integrates. Man, I've got it on my computer. It's on my phone. It's on my iPad. And it's just fast and furious and big. And, some would say that it's huge.
I hate you. Okay, what you guys don't see is Joe not only had his hands open, but he had this look on his face with his eyebrow
It was
up.
a Trumpian.
It was a
expression.
Trumpian. Huge.
So go to our show notes and click the link and just go check it out. Everybody, do me a favor, everybody. Right now, make yourself a note. Go to our website, look at the show notes, click the link to Logos. You don't have to buy it, but they'll see that you clicked, and they'll be like, man, those guys got a lot of people that click over. But I think you should buy it. You should invest in it if you can afford it. It's really, really worth the money. All right.
So, Joe, now we've talked about our despair, right? We've talked about just kind of
despair.
All right. We've talked about our struggle.
You're despairing.
I'm despairing.
I'm not caring.
That's okay. That's worse.
I know.
That's even worse than my despair. At least with despair, it leads to something more.
You're feeling something.
I'm feeling something.
Yeah, it's good.
How should we be responding? You talked about prayer, but is there anything else? How should we be responding? Or what does our despair or our not caring reveal about our heart?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, to not care means that you may not be loving your neighbor. It may mean that you're not interested in justice and righteousness being implemented or experienced in the land. If you are despairing, it may mean that you are not trusting God. There's a lot of possibilities here.
Yeah.
What I encourage people to do is to listen to the candidates talk, take notes, but listen to people outside of the two parties.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to Fox News. Don't listen to Fox News. You need to go to Fox News.
Don't go to MSNBC.
Don't go to MSNBC. But you can go online and read from different perspectives.
Yeah.
Read left-leaning articles. Read right-leaning articles. But listen to the candidates. Go ahead and take the time. Listen, we've got the internet. There's no excuse. You can go and listen to all of these third-party candidates that are popping up now. And then I would say talk to your friends about it. Let's have a conversation. And this is hard because so many of us are already bought in and sold to a certain ideology that it's hard for that. But we
want to defend it right away.
Right. So for those of you though that are confused or frustrated or whatever, it's a great opportunity to get you guys together and to start talking through these things. I would say definitely hold up what the Scripture has to say about the role of government against what these people are saying. But in the end, I would hope that people would either vote or not vote or whatever they do because they are compelled by Scripture and good theology to do so. I actually think you can make an argument for not voting. I think you can make an argument for voting for a third candidate.
Wait, hold on. You really think you can make an argument for not voting?
Of course. Christians in the early church didn't involve themselves in politics at all. They wouldn't enlist in the military. They didn't want to be a part of it, and because it's not a righteous government. It's not their home, and I'm compelled to be involved.
Yeah.
I'm compelled, but I understand the argument. I understand they're saying, listen, I'm not going to enlist or I'm not going to serve this pagan government that's essentially idolatrous. And I understand where they're coming from. So you can make the argument. And if they're doing so with a clear conscience, what can I say other than I disagree and I have to consider other perspectives? My take is that we need to actually listen, pay attention, and then have the courage to speak up, not on political platforms ideas as much as spiritual issues, moral issues.
Yeah.
I don't want to be known as simply the moral majority. I'm not interested in family values. I have no interest in family values. Family values are idolatrous and sinful.
Whoa! Come on now. You're kind of tearing down the golden calf right there.
Think about it. So traditional marriage. I'm not for traditional marriage at all. What is traditional marriage in America? Traditional marriage is Well, it's a quickly annulled or divorceable union between a man and a woman.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a union between a man and a woman. God's not involved, and you can just like end it anytime you want. That's traditional marriage, and that's not biblical marriage, and I don't have any use for that. I want biblical marriage, not traditional marriage, and I think we need to get away.
Traditional's been dead for a long
for a long time. I think Christians need to have a much more and we better get used to it, a much more countercultural awareness of ourselves, our ideology, our philosophy, our theology, our morality, because we are increasingly becoming the weird ones, the offensive ones, the ones that do not walk with the world and the way that the world is going. We better get used to that, because that's our reality.
So again, like, what should our response be then? Like, how does that then put that though into practice, Joe? What does that look like then? You're talking about we need to increasingly learn to kind of, I don't know if it's put up with, I don't know if it's change, I don't know if it's be okay with, because there's certain things that we're not okay with.
Yeah.
But how you react to it is important, right? Like, so what does that look like then for us today?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. When I think about it, I think that, okay, we need to speak against evil and oppression and injustice. Let the words of the prophets ring in our ears about the abuse and the oppression of women and children and the orphans and the sojourners. Yeah. We should care about those things, and we should speak up about those things. Now, those issues do not comprise the mission of the church. I think the mission of the church is to make disciples, but it is a part of the heart of the church, and it is definitely a part of what we as Christians are to be about. So I think we ought to have a voice. I think we ought to be engaged. I think we ought to work for change because we love our neighbors and because we love God. But that's going to look different in different people's lives. I think it's smart to pay attention, to vote, to read. I think it's wise to be involved in your community enough to know not only where the people stand, but what they ultimately need, so that you can be one of the people that speaks both gospel words of hope to them, as well as pointing them to a direction that would help them to flourish as members of the city of man.
Yeah, I think there's a great book out there, and you might have some suggestions here, Joe, but I'm thinking of a book I had to read for one of my classes at Judson that was A Public Faith by Miroslav Volf. And I found it really fantastic. Just the whole, it sounds weird. It sounds weird, but he was talking about looking to, like, seeking the good of another. And I know when I say that's weird, that sounds like what we're supposed to do, but it's weird because we don't do it. Right. And when he's talking about that, exactly what you're talking about right now, that it should matter in politics. It should matter now in how we vote and in what we believe in this election is how do we help seek the common good of others?
Right. I think one of the things that I would say to people who don't know what they want to do, I would say, don't be a sucker. Don't buy into a political ideology or system because it is closer to your biblical framework than the other. Because once you buy in and you're like, okay, well...
So wait, hold on. You think it's because it's closer to a biblical framework, or is it because something that's been ingrained and institutionalized in someone part of their upbringing?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, because you think it, because it matches what your understanding of morality. So, like, Christians are pretty quick, historically, have been pretty quick to go like, all right, well, I can't go with that group because that group's just too out to lunch. But that group at least believes in some of the things that I believe in. So I'm going to latch on. We buy in, and then we endorse it.
Yeah.
Man, look, the Southern Baptist Convention had George Bush speak via satellite to us at a national convention. I was kind of horrified. Now, look, I voted for
W. It was W.
Yeah, I voted for Bush.
Twice?
Sorry, everybody. I voted for Bush, not because I'm a Republican. I vote in different ways. Depends on what's going on. But my point is like, that's not the place. Like, why would my denomination have the president of the United States or a political leader address us when we are supposed to be a biblical theological gathering? Like, that was really strange to me. I didn't like that. Condoleezza Rice spoke at the SBC as well. So it's weird, right?
They both spoke at Judson.
Well, there you go. And again, that's a university, so that's fine. So what I'm saying is don't be beholden to a secular, state-sponsored governmental agency or political group because you think it more closely aligns with yours. Listen, have the courage to stand with God and the truth of God and say, like, all right, well, this is where I'm at. So I don't really fit with any of you people. I have something in common with you. Listen, I have something in common with some of the Democrats. I have something in common with some of the Republicans.
Exactly.
But I'm not gonna jump into either of those two parties. That's a mess. So I think we got to have the courage to say, this is where I actually land, and not be afraid of the fallout. You're typing furiously over there. What are you doing?
Huh? I might have been Facebook messaging.
All right, we got to wrap it up. I got to go home.
All right. Big thanks to Justin Bond of J Bond Media, our audio and visual wizard of Doctrine and Devotion. He not only makes us look good, but sound good. If you've got any audio and visual needs, go ahead and contact Justin Bond over at jbondmedia.com. Joe, if people want to write to us and they want to share their suggestions, ideas, what could they do?
I don't even care. Just keep it all to yourself, guys. I'm pretty much done. We get so many emails now. I don't even, just if you want to write to us, you can hit us up on Twitter, on Instagram, at Doc and Devo. You can send us an email, info@doctrineanddevotion.com. You can go to our Contact Us page at the website, doctrineanddevotion.com. We actually do love to hear from you, but now we're getting so many, we might be getting slow in responding, so don't be mad.
Don't be mad.
Because
you mad, bro?
We're not. Listen, we've got a lot going on. We've got the debates on tonight, and all kinds of stuff. So we might not get back to you right away, but if it requires a response, we really do try to get back to you. We really appreciate that. What we would love for you to do is tell a friend.
Yep.
If you like this podcast, and this was a different one because we're just kind of talking about, politics and whatnot. We're not really giving any, serious theological direction here.
Yeah.
But just some basic ideas and just kind of what we're thinking. But if you like this podcast, then share it with people. Tell people that you like it. Share it on social media. Help us get the word out, because we do want to be an encouragement to Christians as much as possible as they seek to follow the Lord.
And also, if you feel so inclined, head on over to the website, click on the store page, and there you can go ahead and grab yourself a tea or other items that we've got upcoming, or the video series with Dr. Ed Stetzer. All that helps to support the podcast as well as future content.
When did we start selling tea?
Tees. T-shirts?
Oh, T-shirts.
Are you kidding me?
You said tees.
I said tees.
Yeah, okay. But
all right, you know what,
tees.
though?
My wife
Stop
likes
it.
tees.
No. Now you're
like
just,
Earl
you're just trying to annoy
Grey.
me.
Rooibos.
Joe has been annoying me all day.
Rooibos. I've been texting Jimmy and really.
And I had a long day, and then he starts texting me, and you're pushing my buttons.
Oh yeah, I do.
I was actually going to put out a tweet about it. I was like, I'm mad at Joe. I was pretty close. I thought about it.
You were gone for a week, man.
Oh, so now you get to annoy me?
Yes, you're going to pay.
All in one day?
Pay for it.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll be back every Monday and Thursday with a fresh pod. See you later.